Hey everybody, this is Gigi.
And Craig.
We've been co-facilitating Urban Awakening for the past 2 years, and Urban Awakening is a gathering that shares the awakening journey with community. Our upcoming one is July 11th.
We have a sorry to interrupt. We have a event coming up at the center on July 11th, and we are titling the event, the theme of the event is the wisdom of the body, and that's coming up at the center, and we always have really sweet gatherings, and we've been starting to do these Facebook Live videos to just kind of intro what we're teaching and, get people excited about these groups that we're having, and the groups that we hold at the center and Gigi's place in Oakland. They're really beautiful. It's kind of a combination of meditation and community, and we all sit around and support each other, through whatever's going on in our lives, and we all drop into meditation together. So it's a really beautiful blend of exploring the deeper nature of our being and the deep kind of eternal part of our spirit, and also really celebrating and supporting each other in this human journey that we're on, which, as we all know, can be very tricky and difficult at times, and we all need support to help each other through the tough times. That's what community is all about. So our next event is called The Wisdom of the Body, and we really, this is a subject that Gigi and I are both very, very passionate about. And we feel like in most Eastern teachings, one of our roles or our dharma, we feel, is to deconstruct, some of the misunderstandings of the teachings of the East. And this is a teaching around the body that is, I feel like, has been long misunderstood and mistaught. The old model of the way we look at the body is that we are here to transcend our bodies and deny our bodies, deny the pleasure of the bodies, deny their impermanence in order for us to rise into some sort of space of spirit that is transcendent of our humanness, that is beyond our humanness, that is beyond this moment of now. And that's not working anymore for people. We have bodies, we've got these amazing bodies that are vibrant and alive and feel so deeply and are so sensitive, that can be incredibly creative, and we're here to celebrate these bodies of ours. And so one of the things that we're really wanting to invite people into is both the recognition that when we drop into our bodies, when we slow down enough to drop into our bodies, they become a real barometer for truth. They become we begin to be very connected to our intuitive guidance system, as we like to call it. And so you first have to slow down into the body in order to tune into that intuitive guidance system. But once you do, you start to be able to navigate your life from this vantage point, from a vantage point that is coming from the intelligence of the body, that bypasses the mind. And as we all know, the mind can get lost in a labyrinth of confusion and self-doubt, and it's hard to really know your path. But when you start to drop into the body and start to feel into that intuition, an intuitive part of you, you begin to really start to, be able to get into the current of your life and find your flow.
Yeah. So if you haven't noticed, as Adi Shanti would say, if you haven't noticed, what Craig is saying is you can't really have the connection that you want. You can't have the level of authenticity that you want. And you can't have the level of vulnerable leadership that you want unless you actually start being in the body, which most of us, when we think of spiritual connection or understanding, we think of being outside of the body. When we think of incredible leadership, we think of being in the mind, right? And we think of strategy and knowing the right things to say and the right things to do. But what we're pointing to is you actually cannot be an incredible leader, and you also cannot have the type of spiritual awakening full on that you want to have unless you start looking at the body as the actual vehicle that is going to help you get there. Now, why would that be? Because that's where the wisdom is, right? The wisdom of the body. And it's okay if there's a frustration there of, well, I don't know how to feel into my body. I don't know how to access it.
And the reason why, we avoid the body is, quite honestly, when we start to slow down, the first thing we touch into a lot of times is a discomfort. It could be feeling of anxiety or tension or, our wounding or, places in ourselves that we don't feel comfortable. And so we've developed as humans a whole infinite variety of things to distract ourselves and to be in our heads, to dissociate away from our bodies, to deny our bodies, to distract ourselves in a million different ways in order to not feel what's in our bodies, because there is this discomfort that you come into contact with. However, the more you feel
why is there discomfort?
So
Greg's a therapist,
it's a
by
great
the way.
question, Gigi.
Yes, tell us.
So from a very young age, our bodies are incredibly sensitive. We're incredibly sensitive human beings, and and our bodies basically hold imprints of everything that we've been through. So all of our experiences and our wounding, if anyone's experienced trauma in any way, we hold that energetically in our body. And so oftentimes
can I say a story?
Yeah.
So just to bring some life into what he's saying, a friend of mine this weekend was telling me of an experiment they did of rats, and rats are very close to our way of being. That's why we experiment on them, right? So she was saying they took female rats and they sprayed them with rose water, and then they shocked them right after. And then those female rats were not pregnant at that time, but then they got them pregnant. And the offspring, when you spray them, they go into the same shock response. They have a
trauma response.
Now, they didn't get shocked, but they're having the same. So, when you're saying this, that we have these things that live in our bodies, it's even from our ancestors.
That's right. Yeah.
And so even if you've never experienced discomfort or trauma, here is this incredible, even just through the line of your ancestry, all of the things that they've gone through.
Yeah, so we're holding all of these things. And so when we first start to drop in and touch into the body, that we experience that sense of maybe discomfort or restlessness, anxiety, a myriad of things, aches and pains, physical pain,
or you might feel nothing because you're so not used to being in the body that you might just be like, well, I don't feel a thing,
Yeah, and so but the more we allow ourselves to slow down, the more we're able to. The way I kind of describe it is we have this kind of our natural spiritual state is this sense of being, and being is a place of stillness, of peacefulness, of ease. And we all have this right at the core of our being, but it's been obscured by thought and trauma, stress, struggle, all these different things that cover up shame and all the psychological things that we experience. And so when we first tap into the body, that we first come in contact with that outer layer that's covering up, the pure being. And that can be uncomfortable, but the process of dropping in and becoming acquainted and becoming embodied, we start to penetrate that, and we start to that obscurity begins to dissolve, and we start to tap into our natural state of stillness, our natural state of presence. And the more we're able to do that, the more we begin to feel into the aliveness throughout our body, this vibrant sense of aliveness. And the more that is allowed to blossom, the more we're able to move in the world from that place. So to move into creativity from that place, to move into our life's work from that place, to move into relationship and sexuality from that place. So the body is actually the access point to awakening. It's not transcending the body, but it is spirit coming in and through the body, and that is the doorway to an alive, living awakening.
Okay. So Craig wanted to do something that's more experiential, so he asked me to lead a short meditation to just this is not a one-shot bullet. Nothing is a one-shot bullet, right? So this is just an invitation to become quiet together and to see how much we might be just to touch down into this wisdom. And as I've been saying to the groups I've been leading, the guided meditation is actually like a great part of the teaching. One of the greatest parts of the teaching is the guided meditation, because I'm taking you, or whoever's doing it is taking you in to that terrain, to that land of your being. And the way that they're leading it is the way that they take themselves. And so listening, and then also the intention is meditation is not just something that you do sitting down. So taking these directions, these signposts, as something that you could do also with your eyes open in life, right? So that your life is a living meditation. So always first breathing, bringing the attention to the breath. Watching out for the tendency of wanting our mind to be completely quiet right away, and instead having compassion for the mind, as the mind has been going all day long and has its own momentum. So it's not kind to ask the mind to stop immediately, but just being with the mind, recognizing that there is something that is recognizing that even your mind is there. There is something that recognizes the thoughts. Something recognizes that your thoughts come and go. And that part of you, if you sit with that part of you that sees your mind coming and going, you touch into a deep silence, a deep peace right away. And with this deep peace, you're just breathing. Breathing in, I make contact with this deep peace. Breathing out, I make contact with this deep peace. Breathing in, I make contact with this deep peace. Breathing out, I make contact with this deep peace. And as I'm breathing, I'm allowing the breath to touch all of the parts in my body that might have tension. Just allowing the breath to go consciously to the parts in my body that experience tension. Maybe my shoulders, maybe my neck. I'm not trying to understand why the tension is there. I'm not there to judge why the tension might be there or change it or fix it. I'm just bringing my breath to it, trusting that consciousness touching these parts of my body is all that is needed. Breathing into the heart space. Breathing in, the heart space gets wider. Breathing out, I breathe love. Breathing in, the heart space gets wider. Breathing out, I breathe love. Breathing in, the heart space gets wider. Breathing out, I breathe love. Going down to the belly. I breathe in, touching all the places I struggle. And breathing out, I breathe freedom. Breathing in, I breathe into all the places I find struggle and contraction in my belly. Breathing out, I breathe freedom. Breathing in, I bring awareness and consciousness to the areas of struggle in my belly. Breathing out, I breathe love. And now holding this presence, this peace, what does my body want to tell me? Where does my body feel that I could be bringing more love to myself? What has my body been nudging me to do or not to do that I've been ignoring or pushing down? Just allowing the first thing that comes to you to be the truth, the first thing that the body says to you. It might be as simple as, I need you to drink more water. And it might be as difficult to hear as, I need you to quit that job, or I need you to leave that relationship. What has been hard for the body that you have not been paying attention to?
That are present. We start to do so with compassion and gentleness and self-acceptance. And we'll close out our meditation here, taking another deep breath. Exhaling, releasing tension in the body. And slowly coming back to the space, opening your eyes. So this is a simple invitation to slow down and to start paying more attention to these incredible human bodies that we find ourselves in, and the more we pay attention to them and the more we honor and respect them, the more wisdom they have to offer. So we're going to be experience this and going much deeper into the wisdom of the body and ways in which we can become more embodied, more aware of our physicality in this next Urban Awakening event that is on July 11th at 7:30 at the Center in San Francisco. And also we're in the process of recording a 6-week web series. One of the weeks is the whole week is centered on this subject, the wisdom of the body, and there's talks, live online interactions, drop-ins with Gigi and I. There's guided meditations, a soul journey, reading material, really a real deep immersive dive into all of these aspects that we teach about in Urban Awakening. So look for that sometime in August.
That's going to be a web class, a virtual web class, so that all of you from different countries and different parts of the world can join us and do Urban Awakening with us in a virtual environment. And people that are close by are always welcome to come over. It's going to be called Deconstructing Awakening, and we're literally breaking down all of these different myths and barriers that hold us back from being able to embody that deepest truth. So see you guys later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.